Good morning and welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Director of Social Media for HAR, and we're doing things a little differently this morning. I'm going to go ahead and pass the hosting baton over to HAR's PR Manager, David Mendel. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Christina. And it's a rainy morning out there. So for those of you inside, I highly recommend you stay put. The roads are nasty in and around the Houston area. And we've done this before, Christina. I want to say this is maybe our fourth time where you put your trust in me and hand over the hosting duties. And I always appreciate that. And I feel the awesome power of it, too. We're going to talk about social media. We're going to talk about how Realtor members can best utilize social media. Some perceive it as a time suck. Others see it as the low-hanging fruit in terms of marketing their brokerages. We're going to cover all of that with your expertise. One of the things I want to do is, even though people see you here week after week, they may not know your whole background. So why don't you tell us who Christina Schaefer is?
Thank you, David. Well, as I state every Monday morning, I'm HAR's Director of Social Media, but I started working at HAR a little over 11 years ago, mostly in a training capacity. I would teach MLS classes, HAR technology classes, but also social media marketing classes. And I not so secretly preferred the social media marketing classes over everything else. About 4 years ago, a position came open for a full-time social media person for HAR, and I was really just the most natural fit for that position. Since then, we started hosting Member Focus Monday weekly. We're going on about 4 years of that now. I also co-host the HAR On the Move podcast with you, David, and work with our communications team to promote various HAR initiatives, events, classes, different offerings that we may have. But I also still do get to give some presentations and every now and then teach classes, which I'm sure we'll talk about later in the program.
Well, and I've got to tell you, you have taken HAR social media out beyond the stratosphere. So kudos to all that you do. You've grown our presence, I think, on every one of these platforms. So it's really impressive, and it's an absolute pleasure to work with you.
Thank you, David.
Well, let's start off with one of the most common questions that I know you hear from realtors on a regular basis. And that is, what is the most important platform for realtors to be using?
All of them. No, I'm kidding. It really depends on where the engagement is. I think people get so caught up in the following, in the number of followers they have, but they forget that really the engagement is the most important piece. You could have 20,000 followers on Twitter, but maybe nobody ever likes your tweets or retweets them, right? So It's really important to know where you're getting not just the most followers, but the most engagement. And what I mean by engagement are the likes, the loves, the wows, or maybe it's a comment, or maybe it's a private message in response to something that you posted. So that's what you really need to look at, because when you think about social media, when you think about it like a cocktail party, right? Those likes, loves, comments, those are interactions that you're having at that cocktail party. And the more interaction you're getting, the better you're doing. So it's really important to just take some time, evaluate the platforms that you're currently on, and see where you're getting the most engagement from your audience. And that's where you should really be focusing your time. Now, if you say to yourself, you know what, I'm not getting too much engagement on, let's say, Instagram, but I've heard Instagram is really important and really popular for realtors, then maybe it's time to reevaluate the content that you're posting on that particular platform, which we can talk about content a little bit later. But really, again, the platform that's most important for every realtor is the platform that they are getting the most engagement on, because that's where they're making the biggest impact.
Is it fair to say that a realtor should really handle their professional social media presence differently than their personal?
You definitely should. And I think for most realtors, because if you think about it, and many of you have probably already experienced this, when you're working a deal with a client, especially a client that maybe is of the millennial generation, they're going to want to connect with you on social media. They're going to want to be your friend or follow you, and they're going to see the different types of content that you're posting. So I always encourage realtors, even if you want it to be a personal page, for example, still think with a business mindset. Think, could this post, could this tweet, could this impact my business? In a negative way, I should say.
Yeah. Well, you talked about having the importance of the engagement and the likes and the follows. What's the best way to measure if what you're doing in social media is effective?
So it's really neat that most of the platforms actually have that opportunity built into the actual platform itself. For example, on Facebook, they have the section of Facebook, or Meta, I should say. They have the section Meta for Business, where you can go in and actually see your analytics. You can see when people are liking your post the most, when they're seeing your post the most. You can see, what types of content got the most interaction. So it's important to take some time to not just constantly be pushing out content, but to take some time to review what's working and what is not working. Maybe I'm just constantly sharing links to listings, and I see that whenever I post links, my metrics are down. But whenever I post in my stories, my metrics are up. Or maybe if I go live, I get a ton of engagement. So really just look at the platforms, because they actually will tell you what works best. David, when we started doing Member Focus Monday, about 4 years ago, there's a reason that we chose Monday at 9 a.m. Do you know why?
We felt like that was the most opportune time to hit a maximum audience.
Exactly, because we looked at our metrics and we saw a majority of our followers were on Facebook on Monday at 9 a.m. So we said, hey, let's capture them while they're there. So in those metrics, it's very telling and very obvious what's working and what's not working. And it can really help you as you decide what content you want to post and when.
So many realtors see the benefit of social media marketing, but I know a lot of them feel it's a time suck. It takes just too much time out of their day. They're, handling client concerns and just doing their own marketing through conventional means. How can realtors manage their time best on social media?
I always hear this from realtors. It takes so much time, but I ask them, what are you doing when you get on the platform? Because if you're getting on and you're scrolling, guess what you're doing? You're wasting time, right? So it's really important to have a plan to, when you step onto a platform. Let's say I pull up Facebook. What am I doing? Well, first thing I want to do, I want to go interact with some of my clients and customers, right? If they've sent me friend requests or something like that. Maybe I want to take some time to go wish people happy birthday, right? Maybe I go pick out specific people. I want to go see what my seller of 123 Main Street is up to and go engage them, right? Or maybe it's a prospect. So have a plan, go in there with a purpose, and take some time to really work with a business mindset versus just scrolling and seeing what you see. And I would say do this on every platform. Have a plan for every platform. You could probably spend maybe 5-10 minutes a day on each platform, really get some critical engagement going on in there, and then put it down. Which I know that sounds like a very small amount of time, but again, if you stop just scrolling and really go in with a plan and a purpose for what you want to do, you're going to see that it really doesn't take as much time as you think it does.
Let me take first question we have from one of our members of the audience, Tiffany Hill, asking, is there a strategy for posting on one platform and then sharing that very same content on another?
There is. We actually do this ourselves as HAR. We don't do this all the time, but there will be many times where we post the same content to Facebook, to Twitter, to LinkedIn, and to Instagram. And some people snub their nose at that. They don't fully understand why somebody would want to do that. But to Tiffany's point here and her question here, there is a real strategy there, because if you look at the followers that you have on Facebook versus the followers you have on LinkedIn, let's say, that's most likely a different audience. I know for us as HAR, we have a lot of our younger members that are only following us on Instagram. So if I'm posting something to Facebook, but I'm not posting it to Instagram, that audience on Instagram is never going to see that post because they're not pulling up Facebook as often as other members are. So the question here, is there a strategy? There absolutely is, because you most likely also, just as we do as HAR, you most likely have different audiences on the different platforms that you are on.
It's so true. I mean, I even see that with my own use of social media. There may be something that just explodes, and not to the point of necessarily going viral, but just gets a lot of the interaction you talk about. And then you can post that very same content to another one, and the silence is deafening. So you're right. You need to, I think it's over time, and maybe with the benefit of some of the data that you can collect from the platforms, is really determine what content is appropriate for what audience on what channel or platform.
Right. And going back to, we were talking about how do you know what's working? Again, actually taking the time to review that, you'll see, oh, it is benefiting me to maybe spread this around to multiple platforms.
Right. Well, I know every time we do this, the circumstances, the trends are different. I mean, and we do this just about once a year, maybe a little bit more frequently. What are you seeing as some of the hot trends currently on social media?
This one actually has been the trend for a while, but vertical short form video, it really has been a reigning type of content for quite some time. And what I mean by that is, vertical, holding your phone vertically, short form video. So that could be stories. That could be things like TikToks, like Reels. Vertical short form video is really one of the reigning types of content on every platform that it's available on. Also, live video, what we are doing right now. Live video, if you are on a platform that has a live option, that is by far going to get you the most engagement from any other content type. And I mean that on any platform. That could be on Facebook, that could be on YouTube, that could be on LinkedIn. So if there is a live, even Instagram, if there's a live option, chances are that is going to get you a lot of engagement, more than sharing a listing, more than a link to an article. It's going to get you a lot more engagement.
How do you convince a member to get over that hump? Because I know, like we talk about the video production services here, like for example, in the HAR television studio. But I guess there are a lot of users of social media who kind of enjoy the benefit of kind of putting something slick together in terms of a video, producing it, getting it ready to go, and then uploading it, versus the risk of, oh my God, and the intimidation of being live and something could go wrong. How do you walk them through that and get them over that sort of fear and anxiety?
Specifically for live video, and I'm so glad that I just actually messed up with what I was about to say, because that's exactly the point I was going to make. With live video, it's live, and people know that. Nobody's perfect. And they want to work with you because they want to work with a human. So seeing you make a mistake, trip over your words, physically trip in the listing that you may be walking around in, whatever that is all normal human behavior, and that's what people want to see from you. So just accept the fact that we're all flawed and get on the live and do it, because you're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. It's normal.
I do too. I mean, and you and I, when we record our podcast after Member Focus Monday, I'll trip over my tongue. You need to clear your throat. It happens, and that's just part of the live. And I think it just shows that we're all human at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I wanted to go back to the trends really quick, because something else that has really increased over the last year is consumers now see social media as the official customer service of any company. There was a Nielsen survey commissioned by Facebook that said 64% of people would prefer to message a business on social media rather than call the business, pick up the phone and call the business. So, and according to that same study, 60% of all customer service requests will be managed by digital channels in 2023. So what does this mean for you as a realtor? Take time to evaluate your website, your social media accounts, remove pain points. If it's hard for me to find your phone number, if it's hard for me to find your email address, Make it easier for me. Think about this on every platform too. If you know that you're just not on LinkedIn every day, make it really easy for me to find that phone number and email address. Because if I message you on LinkedIn and I don't hear from you, crickets for weeks, well, chances are we're not going to end up working together, right? If you're a one-person operation, set up automatic replies on platforms such as Facebook. Facebook lets you set up automatic replies. And what that does is it lets people know that, I received your message, you're in the queue, and I will get back with you shortly. And do get back with them shortly, because people expect answers and replies within minutes, not days. And also, if I've gotten that automatic reply, I'm more likely to wait a little more patiently because I know I'm in that queue.
Well, let me go back to some audience questions. Jackie Curry is asking, how can you research the algorithms that show when and how much engagement you are getting and at what times?
So actually go into the platform settings. Every platform has insights. So Instagram has insights. Facebook has their insights section. Twitter has insights. Or if you're using a posting service, like if you're using something like a Hootsuite or a Sprout Social, those actually have the metrics built into them. I do use Sprout Social for some of our posting when we do have the opportunity to schedule things in advance for posting. But even things that I post manually, Sprout Social tracks all those analytics and metrics for me. So, and I actually do once a month go through our analytics for every platform that we have and see what worked, what didn't. If our numbers were down this month, why did that happen? If our numbers were up this month, where was there an increase? What content did people really like that improved our engagement? So yeah, you can actually find that in the settings or insights part of every platform.
Very good. Another question, Diana is asking, is there a good percentage combination of how much personal versus real estate related content to post?
People used to say the 80-20 rule on this. They would say 80% personal, 20% business. But you find that people are doing this just a lot more. You're finding a lot more 50-50. But what I encourage realtors to do is, even with, be as personal as you want to be. Again, people want to work with a human. They want to know who you actually are. They want to work with you because they know you, like you, and trust you, right? So post what you're comfortable with. If you're comfortable sharing pictures of your kids or your grandkids, or maybe I'm not, I'm only comfortable sharing pictures of my dog. That's great. Share those pictures of your dog, because again, people, they don't just want to see your listings and your open houses. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's not what I get onto Facebook to see. I get onto Facebook to see, what are my friends and family doing? What are people up to? What did everybody do this weekend, right? So don't be afraid to mix in the business, but when you do mix in the business, make it fun, make it interesting. Don't just share listing, open house, because that's not what people are signing in to see.
Right. No, I think that variety is critical. We got another audience question, Lydia asking, what's your opinion about Meta Business?
Meta Business. Well, we're on Meta right now, so I would absolutely never dream of saying anything negative about Meta. But Meta Business, I think what the question here is, and I could be wrong, Lydia, so correct me if I'm wrong, but and I think you were actually going to be asking me about this a little later, David, but the benefits of a personal page over a business page, I think, is what we're talking about here. And I think for realtors, again, I just finished saying that people don't just want to see your open houses and your listings. I think for realtors, there was some misinformation sprinkled around the business a few years ago, and everybody thought you have to have a business page. If you go and look in the terms of use for Facebook, it does not say that you have to have a business page if you're using it for business. You can go and check that. Last I checked it was yesterday evening, and I did not see that in the terms of service. So if you're using Facebook, your personal page, with the business mindset, okay, it can be effective, and people are more likely to engage with your posts on your personal page than they are on your business page. Why? Well, unfortunately, business pages don't get as much traction. as personal pages do. Facebook, again, they want it to be a community, to feel like a community, not just a big advertising platform. So business pages just unfortunately aren't as successful. Now, if you're doing that though, if you're using a personal page for business use, make sure that you go to Trek's website, look at their advertising requirements, and make sure that you're following the Trek rules. And one of the things that Trek does require you to have is the name of your brokerage on there and your website on there. So make sure that you have that information. And again, if you just Google Trek advertising rules, I'm sure we can also put the link in the comments, but if you just Google Trek advertising rules, you'll see they make it very clear what you need to have to use any social media platform for business.
Yeah, it's important to strike a balance. You want to do what's going to give you the maximum visibility in terms of marketing, but you got to play by the rules. You got to be in compliance. Another audience question, Tuan, asking, how long should you do a live video? What's too long? What's maybe too short? Is there a happy medium that's an appropriate length?
Yeah. So again, based on the metrics, anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes is really great. Now you will find though, that's for Facebook really. You will find though, especially on YouTube, some people are doing 3-4 hour long live streams. Maybe it's a live podcast and they just keep going for 3 or 4 hours at a time. And it works for them. So those are some of the most popular podcasts in the world are the ones that are going live on YouTube. So on Facebook, what we have found is anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. That's why we usually make Member Focus Monday anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. Sometimes we go longer depending on the topic, but we usually try to hit that sweet spot because we have noticed that is typically what benefits us on Facebook.
Right. Let me get another question here from one of our viewers. Shannon asked, what's the key to sharing from your Facebook business page to your Facebook personal page? Oftentimes, it won't allow her to share.
I'm not sure why it wouldn't allow you to share, Shannon, but that's a really good point, going back to having a personal page and a business page. If you are going to utilize a business, let's just say we're talking Facebook here. So if you're going to utilize a Facebook business page, I would use some of that great content that works. So live video, right? Utilize that on your business page and then share it to your Facebook page. And you can actually even do that it'll let you even do that during the stream. So yeah, you should be able to do that. I'm not sure why it wouldn't let you, Shannon, but we could always talk offline if you have a specific question with that.
Christina, I wanted to ask you about paid ads. I see those all the time on social media. Are there benefits to using them? Is it a hindrance? How do you see the role of paid ads playing in terms of our members using them?
So in terms of our members using them, let me just say, they certainly can be beneficial if you're using them effectively. Running ads to promote listings and open houses, if that's what you're specifically doing it for, I would just use the HAR Facebook and Google Ads tool, which is a tool that's available to Platinum subscribers. It is the easiest and most effective way. You can actually create a Facebook ad within, I think it's like 3 or 4 clicks. It just takes a couple minutes. And you actually don't have to have a Facebook business page to do that if you're using that tool. Otherwise, if you want to run ads on Facebook, you do have to have a Facebook business page. So if you're specifically wanting to do open houses and listings, I would use the HAR Facebook ads tool or the HAR Google ads tool, because those are going to be the easiest, most effective ways. Now, if you create some really great piece of content, maybe it was a live video you did. Maybe it was you sat down and you start doing a weekly vlog. It's pre-recorded, but you're doing it weekly. And maybe you see that it's not getting as much engagement as you would like it to. Put a few dollars behind it, boost that post, see what happens. But don't set it and forget it. Go back to it, see how the engagement is doing. And if it just isn't working, next time try something else. Maybe I was trying to sit down and do a pre-recorded video, but maybe if I tried it live, it would do better, right? So try something else, pivot. most realtors have a certain amount of money that they can spend on their marketing. So if you're going to be doing paid ads on social media, just make sure you incorporate that into your marketing budget, because you want to make sure that you're not just blowing the bank either.
Christina, you touched on something a minute ago, and I wanted to get back to it. You talked about using HAR tools. In the overall suite of HAR tools, what are some of the best that realtors can use specifically for social media marketing?
Absolutely. So one I already mentioned was the paid ads. You can do those for Facebook and Google. We also have something that I just love, and it is the HAR Marketing Center. What the Marketing Center does is it, again, within maybe 3 or 4 clicks, you can create beautiful graphics for social media. I am not a graphic designer, David. I have no skills where that is concerned. But these graphics that they have there, that you can really customize them to your liking, use your own branding colors. There's so many different templates and options. And again, within just 3 or 4 clicks, you have a graphic for your IG stories. You have a graphic for Facebook. You have a graphic for Instagram, and they're all sized appropriately. And even clicking through and doing it through there. So let's just say I was creating a Facebook graphic. I can create it and literally click the share button and start posting it to Facebook right from that marketing center. It's really easy to do. And part of the reason it's so easy is because it's integrated with the MLS. So if I have a listing 123 Main Street, instead of having to go to any graphic design software and start from scratch, put in the information about the listing, put in a photo or two, whatever it is I'm going to do. Instead of having to do all that, it pulls that data from the MLS, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. It's done within just a few clicks and a few minutes. So the Marketing Center, I saw somebody asked, where do we find these? All of this is in the members only portal. So I mentioned the paid ads, that's in the members only portal. The Marketing Center is in the members only portal. There's also something called automatic social media posting. And this will, anytime you have a new or updated listing or schedule an open house, it will automatically share it to Facebook, tweet it, and share it to LinkedIn for you. Those are the 3 platforms that it works with currently. But it just does it automatically. So if I have a price reduction, if I schedule an open house, new listing, anything like that, it's automatically sharing those to the platforms.
So a lot that members can be taking advantage of in terms of these HAR tools. Let me go back to some viewer questions. Tiffany Hill asked, can you confirm if agents should be sharing their business page posts to their pages versus making business posts on their personal page?
Okay. Let me find. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just trying to find that so I could reread that. So, can you confirm if agents should be sharing their business page posts? Okay, so you can do either, Tiffany. Really, some people again prefer to just use a personal page with a business mindset. So I'm not going to, and what I mean by that is I'm not posting anything that could offend somebody. Everything I'm posting is happy and sharing and collaborative and educational and fun. Those are the types of posts that I'm posting. So you can do either. You can have a business page and share from there to your personal page, or just simply have a personal page. Some realtors have both and see success with that. And some realtors say, you know what, one page is enough for me to focus on. I'm going to have a personal page, and I'm just going to commit to using it with a business mindset.
So a few minutes back, we were talking about TREC regulations and making sure that our members are in compliance as they take advantage of social media. But along those lines, Shannon is asking, does anyone monitor whether agents follow the TREC rules for advertising? She says that she's seeing a lot of them that don't include broker info. And we have included some information about those the TREC requirements in the show notes.
Great, thank you. So you can check out the link to TREC's requirement. So TREC monitors, but also every realtor, real estate agent in the state of Texas is also keeping eyes on other realtors. I know that we at HAR, sometimes people will report things to us. I think this is a TREC violation. We, of course, don't take those reports ourselves. We refer them to the appropriate channels, whether that be a TREC violation, a Texas Realtors violation, whatever the case is. So yes, they are being monitored by the actual entity itself, but also being monitored by every realtor, real estate agent you might be connected with on that social platform. And consumers, I should mention, and consumers also do file a lot of reports as well.
I mean, my personal opinion is that why take chances? You might as well stick to the letter of the law.
Right, exactly.
I wanted to go back. Earlier, we talked briefly about TikTok as one of the platforms. What do you see as some of the benefits and drawbacks of TikTok as it relates to our Realtor members?
So there are some definite benefits and some definite drawbacks. I will say one of the benefits is it's on trend. You can easily find trends, fit into trends, and you can easily gain a lot of exposure from utilizing some of those trends. TikTok has the trending audio that you might hear. If you've ever heard anything like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And typically what you see on TikTok, you end up seeing on the Instagram Reels or the Facebook Reels about 2 or 3 weeks later. So it typically kind of happens first on TikTok, and you'll see that information there on TikTok. So it's a way to easily gain some attention if you're following the trends. It also does keep people's attention. Most TikTok users spend about 52 minutes a day on TikTok. So that's a lot of time. And so they're spending that time, looking at different accounts and following different people. Now, most people go to TikTok to either be entertained or to be educated. So they go for a little bit of both. A lot of people that you will find on TikTok, if you create a TikTok, it has what's called a For You page. So basically, after about 7 days of use, TikTok has learned what you like and what you don't like. So if David, you like dogs, puppy videos, and you like, let's say, airplanes, you're going to see a lot of airplanes and puppy videos. So it learns what you like. It learns what you like, and it shows you what you like. But it also is there to entertain you and educate you. So most of the people that you see on your TikTok For You page are probably people you don't know. So now, again, the benefits, the whole point there was you can get some great exposure, especially if you're following the trends. The drawbacks are going back to spending time and wasting time. If you're going to utilize TikTok for your business, go in there with a purpose. Otherwise, you might be one of the people that's scrolling on TikTok for 52 minutes a day, as again was the average. So don't waste your time there. Sometimes you'll find misinformation on TikTok too. Yeah. So that's another drawback. Now for you, if you're finding misinformation related to the real estate industry, right, you can actually do different things like what is called a duet or a stitch. And you could basically have maybe the first half of this video was David giving misinformation about the real estate market, but then here comes my stitch. No. But then here comes my stitch with the correct information, right? So you can kind of fix the whole misinformation part. And also every now and then you might find some inappropriate content on TikTok. Again, it doesn't mean that you're posting it. Nobody really knows that you're seeing it. It's just there. And so that could be a drawback.
Well, and speaking of information and accuracy, one of the calls and emails I get frequently from our members is asking for permission about using some of the information we're putting out there. HAR is generating a lot of reports on housing trends, and so I'm asked, can we retweet or repost a chart that HAR had produced? And so along those lines, Richard Ortiz is asking, what's appropriate with sharing the content of others, as long as you state the source? I know we have no problem with that. We like for the information to get out there. That's why we're producing it. Yeah,
and most entities, Richard, that you're going to want to be sharing from, whether it be HAR, TR, NAR, maybe it's an article from the Houston Chronicle, whatever it is, most of those entities, they want you to share their content. They build in links with a little Twitter logo or a little Facebook logo, encouraging you to share their content. So as you said, Richard, if you're stating the source, you're fine. Now, if you're sharing something that is a little more private, maybe it's a friend's post or something like that, they can turn off the ability for you to share, and then I wouldn't share that if they don't want you to share. But it also just depends on the privacy settings as well. But again, going back to what you're asking about, Richard, in most cases, the types of content that you're going to want to be sharing, those entities, whether it be HAR, because of course we want you to share our stuff, or TR, NAR, any, news source, Inman News, whatever the case is, most of the time they want you to share their content. So yeah, as long as you're stating the source, you're fine.
Now, I know it's a little after 9:35, but I'm getting a lot of questions from
let's
viewers.
do it.
So I think we press on.
Yeah.
Veronica is asking what tools to use for video except camera, lights, and stand.
So what tool? So I would argue that the lights are one of the most important things. So hopefully Veronica's already using that, and that's why she doesn't need it. So there's different things that you can use. We have such an easy camera at our fingertips every day. People, they get a little intimidated because they think they need to go buy an expensive camera. If you have an up-to-date cell phone, a newer cell phone, you're going to get some great video quality on there. So don't worry about that so much. Microphone can be really important or really helpful. You can actually use some pretty discreet microphones, especially if this is something that you're doing on the go. Maybe I'm live at a listing or an open house. Maybe I have AirPods hidden under my hair or something while I'm doing that, right? So using a microphone can be really helpful because it's going to, of course, help your audio quality and improve your audio quality. As far as lighting is concerned, I have some big bright lighting on me right now, but realtors have the best light available. And that's maybe not at this moment while it's dreary outside, but natural light, standing by a window when you're at that listing or open house, or just standing outside if it's not too loud outside. You've got great natural lighting, which will help with that. Now, any other tools, there's so many tools, and I can comment after we're done here, Veronica, with some different apps and things that you could use. I have several of them on my device, so I can comment with that. But if you go into the App Store or the Google Play Store, there's a lot of apps that you can use for video and to improve your video quality. It could be for video editing. So there's a lot of different video type apps that you could use as well. Yeah, go ahead, David.
I was going to just say, I just have really come to appreciate, TikTok has so much built in. I just produced one last night, and I was able to use green screen, but you can also speed up video. So there's a lot that's kind of built into the platforms themselves that our members can take advantage of.
Yeah, and that's a really good point because TikTok has that, Instagram has that as well. With their reels and their stories, there's so much editing that you can do in there already. So if you're specifically using those, I would use what the platform provides because it's going to be the easiest and it's free.
Exactly. It doesn't get cheaper than that. Danielle said she just did a Marketing Center mock-up and it was very easy. So we like to hear that these things are actually being helpful to them.
Yes, wonderful. I'm glad to hear that, Danielle.
Lizette asked, is the Marketing Center just for Platinum subscribers?
I could be wrong here, but I don't believe so. Somebody from HR can verify that for me, but I don't believe it is. But it is a really amazing tool, and I think it is worth. If it is part of Platinum, I think it's worth the value that you're getting.
Got another question. This one's from Carolyn asking, what's your opinion on lead generating companies?
I think that every lead generating company probably has, just as we were talking about TikTok earlier, benefits and drawbacks. I think that a lot of times realtors can be very dependent on some of these companies when a lot of the generation might be better if you're utilizing social media. A majority of realtors get their business from where, David? Do you know where?
I don't know.
Referrals. It's from referrals. So if you're utilizing social media to really educate and entertain your sphere of influence, chances are that might be a more quality lead than a lead generating company that you're paying to get leads for you. So just like with anything else, I would encourage realtors to just not throw money at it and be dependent on it, because it does take a little more effort, and the quality of lead that you get from a referral is always going to be better than just a random lead from the internet. In most cases, I should say, not always.
That makes sense. Veronica's bringing us back to TikTok again. She wants to know if HAR could possibly add TikTok to the website.
We can definitely ask, that was a couple of years ago, can we add Instagram to the websites? So we could definitely pass that along to our technology department. Yeah.
Okay. A question from Becky can't I customize Find a Pro to multiple locations? It looks like it defaults to only one.
So Becky, you can, if you are a platinum subscriber, there's a section of the members only portal that lets you customize Find a Pro. You can also customize your website and profile, your HAR profile, to show specific parts of town that you specialize in. So if I specialize in Clear Lake, Friendswood, League City, I can add multiple areas versus just one.
Very good. Patty's asking, do we need to switch TikTok to a business page?
No, but again, like any other platform, you want to make sure that you're following the TREC rules, the TREC compliance. So make sure you have the brokerage information on there. Make sure it specifically states all of that information that TREC requires. And in some cases, the platforms may not even have a specific business type. Yeah, so for TikTok, I would just make sure that you have the correct TREC requirements there and your brokerage information and all of that.
Well, Christina, where can realtors learn more about how to incorporate social media into their business?
So I mentioned at the beginning of this session that every now and then I get to do some speaking engagements and some classes. And I actually do have a class coming up on September 15th. It's called the HAR Digital Marketing Specialist class. And we're going to talk about all of this, everything that we talked about over the last 40 minutes. We're going to put it into more of maybe a 6-hour day. So a lot more information, a lot more getting in the weeds and really diving in with some of this stuff and actually implementing this stuff. It's intended to be a hands-on class as well. So you'll be updating and fixing things and setting things up as we go. I also am speaking at this year's HAR Engage conference on October 14th. I'm going to be doing 2 different sessions. One is a 20-minute social media tune-up, and the other is called Stop the Scroll, how to get people to stop and actually look at what you're posting. So I'm really excited for both that class and the HAR Engage conference. But I should also mention, some people were asking about video specifically. Some people may have questions about branding specifically or just generally marketing. HAR has so many marketing classes, video classes available, and we offer them pretty regularly. And I should also mention this, our professional development department does a wonderful job of not only holding a wide variety of classes, but holding them at a very affordable rate for our members. A lot of people think that, oh, maybe if it's a $25 class, it's not worth my time. I promise you it is. We price our classes for our members specifically. You'll sometimes see member pricing and non-member pricing. And we do that because we want our members to be successful, get the information they need, and not have to break the bank to take the class. So take some time to look at our education website and look at the marketing classes, look at the video classes, the digital marketing class that I just mentioned, and really get some education because we have some great instructors and some great content in those classes.
Well, I've got to say, I think in 42 minutes, we packed a lot of information into this show. Any final thoughts that you want to share with our viewers?
You know, I think, again, going back to this, I think people worry about wasting time on social media. Just make sure that you have a plan when you're getting on social media. And kind of the 3 pillars that I would encourage is remember to be consistent with your social media. Don't do a live stream one day and don't do it again for another 3 months. So be consistent, be authentic, right? I couldn't get on here every Monday and put on an act every Monday. That would be exhausting, right? So when people meet me in real life, they say, you're just like I thought you were going to be. You act just like you do on video, right? So be authentic because, again, people want to work with you. Every flaw that you may have, it's fine. They want to work with you, right? So be authentic, be consistent, and just remember to have fun with it because, again, we're not just here to push listings in people's face. We're here to educate and entertain as well. So that's what I would recommend.
Well, and I hope we did a little bit of both. I hope we entertained and enlightened with this show. Christina, it is always such a joy to do this show with you, and I really value the fact that you've entrusted me to hold the reins for 45 minutes. So now that we've wrapped things up, I'm going to turn the reins back over to you and let you kind of wrap things up. I know, I guess we'll have no show next week because it's Labor Day.
Yes, so next week we will be observing Labor Day, so we will not have Member Focus Monday, but the following week, I just mentioned HAR Engage. We're going to have our HAR Engage co-chairs, Nicole Lopez and Jay Bradley, on the program to talk about our amazing Engage conference. We have a wonderful lineup for this year, so I would be sure to tune in. That's going to be on September 12th, 9 a.m., right here on HAR's Facebook page.
Well, Christina, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Member Focus Monday, and we'll also turn around and do it for the HAR On the Move podcast a little bit later today. And I want to thank everybody for watching and entrusting me to host the program today.
Thank you so much, David. That's it for this Member Focus Monday. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye.